a struggle. Two struggles are seen. Two struggles I just read to you about. I read to you about the struggle of principalities. The principality struggle. So principalities are unseen forces that reign and rule in the earth. Jesus gave us a visual of the forces when he was in the garden, in the wilderness with the devil. When the devil pulled Jesus and began to talk to him, and he says to him, he said, all these kingdoms of the world and the glory of these kingdoms, I'll give it to you if you bow down to me. Jesus had the opportunity to tell the devil, when he offered it to him, the truth. He could have said, you don't own them. But he couldn't say you don't own them. Because at that time, he what? He owned it. It is so hard for us to imagine unseen things as principalities. It's hard for us to imagine that because we are so acclimated to deal with the visual of what we see on the earth. If I told you today, right now, that there are unseen forces that's controlling this world, it would be hard for you to conceive that. Because you actually only believe in the stuff that you physically see. But if I told you about a group called ISIS, and I told you that ISIS is a terrorist organization, you will believe that because the seen world talks about that and makes it real to us. And then we see some of the terrorist acts that brings it into our visual. Even though we can't see it, we believe that ISIS is real. Even though we have no contact with it. Somewhere, we believe somewhere they are lodged in Syria. They're lodged in Afghanistan. They're lodged in areas where they can hide. And there's some places where they've taken over. We wouldn't have a problem believing that because we're dealing with visual things. We are visual in our concepts and in our lives to understand everything. And the things that we cannot understand or we cannot see, we almost choose to believe that it don't exist. But let me tell you, principalities exist. The Bible makes it clear in the book of Ephesians, chapter number 6, verse number 12. Ephesians 6 and 12 says it like this: for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world. Those are things we cannot see. It's hard for us to wrap our minds around it. But every now and then we hear people say things like people made an agreement with the devil. And we see people who become stars, and we see people who become well known in the earth, and they become people who everybody know their name. And somebody come back and say they made a agreement with the devil. You see, the devil has glory, he has power, he has popularity and notoriety. He can give you because he has the power of that. And when Jesus was tempted by the devil because he could only tempt him if he actually had it. And he says to Jesus, he says, all this I give to you. All this glory and all this power, it'll be yours if you only do what I ask you to do, and that is bow to me. And Jesus said to him, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and him only shall thou serve. So in Colossians chapter number 2 and verse number 15, when the scripture says he spoiled principalities, then you got to know he was defeating the enemy. So when he spoiled it, that means he gained the victory over it. Spoiled it means he took the power over it. Spoiled it means he took something from it. And what he took from the powers of darkness was the power on this earth. The Bible talks about the one who had the key to death, hell, and the grave. And the Bible said Jesus took the key of death, hell, and the grave. But those are things you cannot see. Because you cannot see it, it's hard for you to actually perceive his working. So we have to believe what the word says. And sometimes believing what the word says, because we can't see it, becomes our problem. So when he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 15, he said, "O grave, where is thy victory?" Why would you say such a thing? He says, because grave doesn't have victory anymore. It overpowered everybody who ever died. Nobody could come from the grave except the one that had the power to resurrect them. That's why Jesus, when he went to the grave of Lazarus, he called him from the grave. And that's why when the man who was in a coffin, when he passed by, Jesus told them to stop the coffin and told the man to rise from the coffin. That's why Jesus, when he went to Jairus' house and Jairus' daughter was dead, he told the dead girl, "Damsel, arise," because he had the power. He said, "I am the resurrection and the life." And what he was saying is, I want to make an announcement before I ever do anything. He says when he called Lazarus from the grave, he said, "I am the resurrection, I am the life." And when he said that, he was saying, I'm announcing this to you. I'm announcing this so that you'll know before I do it. I always had the power to do it. He says, don't nothing die if I say it don't die. He said, and if it die, I say for it to live. It lives because that's what I am. That's who I am. I am the resurrection. And I am the life. But it's still hard for us to get the visual in our minds. So I decided today that I give you a visual. Let's go to the book of 2 Kings chapter 7. I'm going to give you my visual and I'm going to let you go. Because I know some of y'all came here to go home. 2 Kings chapter 7. 2 Kings chapter 7. Here's the visual of the victory. Verse number 1, hear ye the word of the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Elijah said, hear ye the word of the Lord. Hear ye the word of the Lord. Thus said the Lord, tomorrow about this time, read it, shall a measure of fine flour be sold for what? For a shekel. And 2 measures of barley for a what? Shekel in the gate of Samaria. Notice what he says. Elijah stood up in a day where everything was just chaotic and crazy. And he said in that day, he said, thus said the Lord. He said, thus said the Lord. He was saying, I'm announcing something. And many times before God does things, he speaks it before it ever happens. He said, I'm announcing something. Notice what he said. Here's my announcement. Tomorrow, about this time, everything is going to change. A measure of fine flour will be sold for a shekel, and 2 measures of barley for a shekel in the gate of Samaria. And here's verse 2. Read verse 2. Then a Lord on whose hand the king leaned answered the man of God and said, what? He said, Lord, what? He said, Lord, he said, wait a minute. He said, if the Lord would make windows in heaven, might this thing be? What did the prophet say to him? You shall see it with thine eyes, but shall not eat thereof. When Jesus rose from the dead, it was a victory. Grab somebody by the hand and say it was a victory. Come on, tell them, say, you got to believe this. It was a victory. Tell them again, say, it was a victory. You got to believe it. It was a victory. But the victory was an announcement. If you miss the announcement, you might have problem believing that you got the victory. The announcement was made, just like this announcement was made. And in this announcement, the word is that whatever has existed at this present moment is going to change in 24 hours. That whatever has existed up to this present moment is going to change in 24 hours. That it does not make a difference how bad things has been. If you believe in 24 hours, you can see a great breakthrough. You can see a great change, because what has existed up to this moment, and I want you to hear this, and the moment this was spoken, there was one guy that says, ain't no way this can be. He said, ain't no way this can be. And when he said, ain't no way it can be, he just canceled his invitation to the party. Jesus rose from the dead, and everybody who believed, he's inviting you to the party. Everybody who believed that Jesus got up from the dead, everybody that believed that sin was canceled through the blood of Jesus Christ, the Father is inviting you to a party. And he says you can change everything about your life in 24 hours if you believe that Jesus got up from the grave. And you might not have a visual of how you saw him get up from the grave, but just like the word that Elijah gave, all it takes is faith in the word. If you believe he got up from the grave, faith in the word can change your situation. Tell somebody you invited to this party. So I wanted you to see this. I want you to see these people who are suffering, and they're suffering real bad. They're just like the people who were in hell, suffering real bad. And could nobody get them out of hell. But Jesus, when he died, he went right down to hell where they were. And the Bible said he went to hell and he preached the spirits while they were in hell. And he told the demons, the spirits that was in hell, you ain't got to stay in hell. I can set you free because I am Jesus. So what was he doing? He said, I'm making an announcement. When I died for you too. I'm making an announcement. You ain't got to be in bondage any longer. You can tell hell you can't hold on to me. Look at your neighbor, said, did you miss your announcement? Tell them, if you miss your announcement, I'm getting ready to make it to you right now. Everything the devil been holding you back, you can get free from it right now. every pain in your life, you can get free from it right now. You can join us in the party because we're partying with Jesus, and we're saying to hell, we're saying to the devil, we're saying to the world, you can't hold us back any longer because we got the word of freedom. We got the word of Jesus. And the Bible said, he who the Son of Man set free is set free indeed. You ain't got to be bound to nothing. You ain't got to have nothing control you. You ain't nothing got to have bondage over you, because Jesus has already made an announcement. Tell the devil, you ain't got no power over me. Tell somebody, say, just believe the word. Come on, you ain't talking. Tell them, just believe the word. Tell 3 people to just believe the word. Change is about to take place. There's an announcement that's already been made. Hell already heard it. The same demon that's trying to hold you in this earth, that's trying to mess your life up, hell has already heard the announcement. You just got to believe that he done made the announcement. You got to believe that he said, all power from heaven and earth is given unto me. That means anything else ain't doing nothing but perpetrating. It ain't got no power over you. He said, I got the power. He said, when I got up, he said, all power got up with me. So he says, I struggled for you. Tell your neighbor, said he struggled for you. You ain't talking, you ain't talking. I struggled for you. I wanted you to have power. I wanted you to have power and victory. And I knew that you couldn't get it. You didn't see the struggle. So it's hard for you to believe that the victory is that easy. You see, that's the problem with us. The stuff we can't see is the stuff that's bothering us. That's why the Bible says, and I want you to remember this, the stuff you hate, when you make it people, you hating the wrong people. I said the things you hate when you make it people, people ain't the thing that you fighting against, baby. We fighting against demons and devils. He said, behold, I give you power to tread on scorpions. He said, I give you power over all the power of the enemy. And many of us are saying, Pastor Rogers, what are you trying to tell us? I'm telling you, Dave, I'm telling you, David, I'm telling you something. I'm telling you that when he released the word, when the word was released, it was released in an atmosphere where people were in bondage. And when he released the word set them free. And you say, well, how did that work? Well, how did this one work? How did it work in 2 Kings? He announced it, he spoke it, and then it started happening. Before you leave here, something is going to happen for you. I said, before you leave here, something is going to happen for you. I'm releasing a word in this place. I'm releasing a word in this place. And I'm telling you, tomorrow, about this time, you ain't got to let the devil defeat you any longer. You ain't got to be bound to sickness or disease any longer. Tomorrow, about this time, you can be free in your situation. So how does God set us free? The Bible said he sends his word. The word is being sent. Sent in an atmosphere. Sent. Sent. Everything Jesus did against principalities, he sent it in the atmosphere. Said, I want the atmosphere to know. I want the atmosphere to know. I want people who are struggling to know. So you're supposed to get to a point that when you're struggling, that you look and you start saying, what am I struggling for? I've already got the victory. He said, what am I giving? I'm giving something victory. I ain't got no victory. So I want to invite you back to 2 Kings. And I want you to understand there's a few things I want to tell you, and then I'm going to let you go. A few things I want you to grab. I want you to grab onto this. That you can cancel your invitation by being negative. Look at somebody said, negativity cheats you from the party. The moment you become negative, that means you're taking what he's done and you're saying, I don't see it, I don't feel it, and I don't believe it's possible. That's what the man did. When the prophet says tomorrow is going to happen, the man says, I don't see it, I don't feel it, and I don't believe it's possible. He said, I don't see it, I don't feel it, I don't believe it's possible. And when he said, I don't see it, I don't feel it, I don't believe it's possible, and he says, and he looks at the word that was released, and he said, that word can't do, that word can't happen, that word can't happen. And the prophet says, you're going to see it. You're going to see it happen. How many of you tired of seeing other people get free when you can be free? How many of you tired of seeing other people get blessed when you can be blessed? You got to get to a place in your life where you say that if God doing it for other people, he can do it for me. You got to get to a place in your life where you begin to say that I will not live another day without what God can do for me, because God is already doing it. There's too many people who are getting these things that God has done, and I'm on the outside looking in. I will not continue to be a window shopper. I'm going to go in and I'm going to buy like everybody else. I refuse to keep living on the outside when I can be enjoying this party like I'm supposed to. So this is what I want you to see. In 24 hours, they had a quick change. In 24 hours, a quick change happened. I want you to see it in 24 hours. In 24 hours, a quick change took place. And some people may think I'm trying to preach this because you know, there's a lot of smart people when I preach. I got a lot of smart people. They know so much. They know everything about what God tells me to do. But let me tell you why I'm preaching this. It's because we have visual problems. And because we have visual problems, we got to see something in order for us to believe it. But when the word is released, he spoiled principalities. You ain't got to see it, you just got to believe it. You got to believe it. So he says to them, it's going to change. And the man in verse 2 says, I can't believe it. But he did not know. He did not know, just like you sitting in here with all the problems that you have, you're saying, I don't know how it can be fixed. I don't know how it can change. I don't know how things can be changed like that. I know I come here every Easter, and Easter is about Jesus got up, and I hear the Easter story, but I go home bound again. I go home with the same trouble. I go home with the same struggle, and I keep hearing a message, and that message sounds good, but it ain't doing nothing to change my life. Well, I come to tell you today that the word is ready to work for you. The word is able to work for you, and the word is ready to set you free, and all you gotta do is stop being negative. 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 Stop letting your situation make you believe it can't change because it feels so bad. It may feel bad, but it can change in a minute. It may feel bad, but it can change in a moment. You can leave here today and everything can be changed, because that's what it means to be the resurrection. Resurrection was about all power. Resurrection Resurrection was about all strength. Resurrection was about anything that's holding you back. I can change it. I can break it. I can break it. I can change it. All you got to do is believe in me. He said, if you believe in me, he said, if you believe in me, and that's what he's saying in this verse. If you believe in me, that means if you believe my word, if you believe I have power, if you believe I spoiled the enemy, if you believe I did it, you will see that I did it. If you believe I did it, you will experience the power of what I did. If you believe that I can do it just like I did it right here, in 24 hours I change everything for these people. I'm going to show you this, and I'm getting ready to let you go. I want you to see this one more time. This was a victory that was not earned. The people who were sitting in the famine dock, they were in the famine. But I want you to understand, when the prophet says, tomorrow we're going to be eating, that was a victory they didn't earn. You see, the victory of Jesus Christ for us is a victory we didn't have to fight. We just a recipient of his victory. We just received from the fight that he did. He fought for us, and then he said, I'm giving you the victory. The people who were in the famine, they were in the famine. He was changing their situation just by what he said. They didn't earn the victory. They just were recipient of the works of the word. All they had to do was believe. The man that was there, all he had to do was shut up, and he could have had dinner with the rest of them. But because he opened up his big mouth and began to talk negative about something that was going to happen just like the prophet said, I'm trying to talk to somebody today that's sitting there thinking that what you're going through cannot change. All you got to do is recognize you ain't got to earn this thing. You just got to believe this thing. You ain't got to wrestle with people. You just got to believe that he's already did it